Hi everyone, this is Stacy K and this is my Flosstube number 1. I feel like I should say long time admirer, first time participant. My channel is the Farmhouse on the Field, and what I do there is a lot of quilting and basket weaving and various crafts to do around your home, and various farm related skills, canning, rug raving, that type of thing. What I haven't highlighted at any of them has been my needlework, and I've been watching Flosstube for a while and I just love the artistry that you guys do there, and I'm so in awe of it. I am a basic Ida stitcher, have been forever, and I probably have one of the weirdest origin stories of most stitchers, because I learned cross stitch in my algebra class. My girlfriend sat behind me one day, she was stitching on something, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she showed me, she was stitching little hearts. I said, "Show me," and I've been a cross stitcher since. I can't say that I've walked down the street and said I know what X is, but I have used cross stitch so much more in my life than I've ever used algebra. So I have been cross stitching for quite a while, and as this is my first Flosstube, I'm going to show you the two pieces I've actually finished and framed. Unfortunately, a lot of my pieces end up stitched, ironed, and then that's where they are until I get to an idea of actually finishing them. So two of these pieces, I'm going to show you my favorite piece overall, and that is one that I did actually before I was even married. This hangs in the main part of my house, the entryway to the main part of my house, and I love this all these years later because of the sentiment that's on it. It's not particularly stitched real well, but I just love it. So it is this one, and I believe this was a leisure art pattern, and I believe it was called Home Again. And the sentiment runs along the roof line of the house, and it also, what I kind of dig is that it has this shadow work, which is created just by doing a portion of the cross stitch, so it makes it look very shadowy and misty. But the sentiment reads, "I hear your footsteps down the hall. You are home again and safe. All the burdens of the day are lightened, and all the night's noises are music to my ears." I don't know about you, but that gets me right here. You know, I think anyone that has loved ones that are out at night, whether they're working or your kids or what have you, you don't feel that they're safe and that you can rest until you know everybody's under your roof and they're safe. And I love this. So this is right on the inside of my main portion of my house when you come in, because that's how I feel, is I can't feel good, I can't be at peace until I know my family's safe. So I love this piece. All these years later, I love this piece. The other piece that I've had framed, and this sits in my house year-round because I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of things that I frame. And this one is a Christmas piece. I don't remember what the pattern was, but it says, "Santa comes on Christmas Eve, seeking those who yet believe. Through a frosty winter's night, in a sleigh with reindeer flight, bringing joy to large and small. Merry Christmas, one and all." And the buttons are just buttons that I bought at your local Joann's. The little bell, the Santa, and the little stars. Now, the thing I had a real hard time, even the snowflake, the thing I had a hard time finding was I wanted a sleigh with reindeer. And I went on eBay and I bought a charm bracelet that had this, and then I separated the charms off, and that's how I got the charms for my piece. So I've always loved this. This hangs in my dining room year-round. It's just a very pretty piece, and it's one of the few that I got finished. So some of the things that my finishes I've gotten done in the last year, obviously we're at home all the time, so I have a lot more time than I do if I were driving into work all the time. I think I only have, yeah, I've only got the one pattern that I actually have a name for. I'm very hard on my patterns, so by the time I'm done, the pattern piece looks like it's been through something. So this one is Trick or Treat Cats. It's designed by Holly Gordon. This is the pamphlet that it is. I think it's still, you can still get it. And it's these cute little Halloween cats all dressed up for Halloween. I mean, is that not cute? And I'm thinking this one I'm actually going to finish as a pillow with this fabric. I think this is going to be really cute with this fabric. Just as a little pillow. I bought a pillow for them over at Joann's, and I think that'll be really cute. So I'm going to finish that off, I think, as a pillow. And you'll see a theme here because I do love Halloween, so pretty much I think all these are Halloween. This is one I finished a long time ago. I don't even know the pattern, but it's Halloween Eek, or ABC Eek, I think it is. And it's just a cute little alphabet for Halloween. And then this one I just recently finished off. And this one is Happy Halloween with a bunch of witches' hats. And I think that's really adorable. I just love it. So this one I'm probably going to frame at some point. I'll probably frame it myself. But I'll probably frame it and put that on my wall. I just think it's really cute. I dyed this fabric with Rit Dye. I found a YouTube video that showed you how to do it. And I just love it. It's 8 of 14. But I think it came out really cute. So, I don't know if you can see all of that. But there we go. So those are finished pieces. Now current projects. The most current one I'm working on, I'm trying to use up a lot of my old patterns, which is never going to happen. But I'm working on this one right here. And this is from the Cricket collection from Cross-Eyed Cricket. I do a lot of theirs. I really love their patterns. And I'll take them out of the frame. This is where I am with them. Now again, I told you I am primarily an Ada Stitcher. This is really hard on at night to see where the holes are just because of it's green. But I'm working on the outer part of it here. So this portion right here with all the stars. And mine is my stitch is a little off because you can see that his stem is not as big as mine. So I just kept adding rows until I filled it out. So that is the pumpkin that I'm doing. Again, you see a theme. I like Halloween. Okay. The other thing, one of the other things I'm working on, and this one is probably going to take me a couple of years because I'm not a fast stitcher, is this Old Glory. This is from Rosemary Manor, and I just love that. It's designed by a Karen Kubla. Hopefully I didn't just smash her name, and it's all American flags from various years. I love this. My house itself was built in 1867, and so I love old flags. I would love to get an old flag for my flagpole from 1867 because they're always different. But that's what I'm doing now, and I really have not gotten that far with this. I'm trying to stitch in the corner. Again, I dyed this. This is dyed with Rit dye. I started doing in the corner, which is not my normal way of doing it. I usually find the center and start cross-stitching from the center. And it's given me a little trouble. So I am trying to get back to it, but it's going to probably be a while before I do. So that is the two that I'm working on in terms of cross-stitch. Now, in terms of, I have an ongoing project in terms of embroidery. This is a portion of a blanket that my great-great-great-grandmother, my great-grandma Jessie Lee Seal, created for me before I was born, or when I was born. And this has been through my life, it has been through my son's life, and I don't know if you could see it here, but literally it has gotten to the point where the embroidery is wearing off, and the fabric is literally falling apart. It's reached into life, which is really sad because this, covered me as a little girl all the way up until my son was born. I used it on my son, and it's just to the point where it's fallen apart. It's not usable anymore. It's just going to get further destroyed the more I do it. So my thought was, let's remake this. Let's honor Grandma and let's remake this. So I was able to go online, and there's somebody on Pinterest who kind of cracks me up because she's claiming this is her pattern, but I am very grateful for her putting it up there because she had some of them that I did not have, but it's clearly not her pattern because I have elements that aren't in hers. So I know that this was someone else's pattern. But at this point, I'm just grateful because I did try to reach out to a lot of the embroidery companies, and nobody said this was their pattern. So I was thoroughly grateful that she put it on Pinterest. But this is Days of the Week, and there was even one of them that was on Grandma's original blanket that was in yellow, and it was fading off. I had no pattern for it anymore. There's just no way. When I initially started doing this, I took it to my work, and on my lunch I ended up copying what I had and then trying to make a pattern for that. So I was eternally grateful that I found it on Pinterest. But we have the Days of the Week, so we have the little girl washing dishes. We have her getting groceries. We have her cooking. This was the one that I didn't have. And this is her ironing. And the pattern on Pinterest doesn't have the cat. And the cat was in my original one. We have her going to church. So I also, any of the blocks that Grandma had, such as this stitching block that was on the original that I could salvage, I did. So I've got some of Grandma's blocks in here, and the funny thing is it didn't occur to me until after I started stitching half this blanket and started adding hers in that I didn't mirror when I copied it. So you can tell Grandma's stitches. First of all, she stitches she doesn't back stitch, she does some kind of running stitch. So that one's Grandma's, and you see the girl is facing that way. And this one's mine, and the girl is facing that way. So keep that in mind if you're going to copy it on a copy machine, that you have to mirror it so that it comes out right. But, it also helps me to know which one was Grandma Seal's and which ones are mine, even though you can really tell because I did a straight back stitch and she did some kind of running stitch. Looks like some kind of back running stitch. Because you can see in the back, it's just, there's not a lot on there. Whereas mine is pretty much, I'm not the neatest back stitcher. But mine is pretty much a mirrored image of the front, where hers is just a lot of little stitches. And I think she did like a back stitch, a running back stitch on this. But that's kind of something I'm doing to honor my grandma and to keep this blanket going down the family line as much as I can. I'm going to remake it. The back of this blanket was actually in really good shape, especially for being almost 50 odd years old. So I'm going to probably use the back on this front bath blanket maybe as a border just to highlight that, and then put something on the back, just a regular modern day fabric on the back. But I just want to kind of keep it within her vision to a degree. I did do mine in blue. Hers originally was in pink. But I think it'll come. I'm hoping it'll come out right. This has been an ongoing project. I'm not going to say that I'm diligent about it, but I'll get on a kick where I start doing a bunch of blocks and then put it away and do something else. So those are my finishes. Those are the ones I'm working on. Now, upcoming patterns. I have a blank wall in my dining room. Originally it had this huge wedding picture that made us all uncomfortable. So what I'm going to try to do instead is I'm going to try to fill it up with some cross stitch. Now my next set of cross stitch, and I'm trying not to buy any more cross stitch patterns. I gotta stop watching as much Flosstube as I do because you guys tempt me too much. But one of the things I'm into as of late is samplers. And so I saw these designs by Sub Rosa, and I apologize, these are just printed off in black and white. So they're not as pretty. Go on Etsy, you'll find her. They're beautiful. So the first one is the colada. And I just love this. It says, "With my hands I give you my heart crowned with love." My family is Irish. On both sides there's Irish in us. And so I love this. My wedding ring is a colada. So I love this. So this will be the next one I stitch. Same person. I just love this little bunny scissor holder. And so this is going to be my next one. And hopefully I can kick that out relatively quickly. I say that, it'll probably be 2 years before I finish it. But that's going to be after the colada. And then I have this one, same designer. I love it. It's called My Cat. And I have 4 cats, so I love this one. This one's definitely going to be done. Now, one of the other things I'm trying to do... No, let me go on to other things. I want to do, again, another cross-eyed cricket. I love this here. I've actually started this, and I have the variegated threads through it, but it hasn't been picked up for a while. But it will be done. I'm going to do it. Promise, I'm going to do it. This is another one that I've had forever. It's the Vintage Collection Antique Buttons. By Sue Hillis Designs, and it's a very simple cross stitch. I'm not sure if you can see it, but what I love, and I'll do it on 14, I'll probably dye it again, but what I love is it's all different vintage buttons. And so I went to my local co-op and I bought a whole bunch of buttons. It says, "Lovely to look at, these buttons of old, found with Grandma's treasure, delights to behold." And so that one will also go on that blank wall once I get it done with the sampler. Because I love the sentiment on here, and the buttons, I grew up going into my great-grandmother's bedroom, and she had her jewelry box, and she had all of her little rhinestone jewelry and her buttons in there, and that reminds me of my great-grandma Hill. So that is one of them that's going to be done. Then I have a bunch of little tiny projects that's my goal for 2021, is to get all these little piddly projects done, because I buy them and then they kind of die somewhere, a slow death in my craft room. So this year, little projects, kick them out, that's the goal. And so my last trip before the plague, we went down to Williamsburg, Virginia, and on the way back there was a big billboard for this quilt shop. And I stopped in there and I bought this little red 11 red button quilt company, and it's got a cute little basket with flowers, which I'm a basket maker, so that immediately caught my attention, and I love the color red. And that's what it looks like, the drawing. It comes with all the little buttons for the flowers, and I'm not sure where this button goes because I haven't really looked at the pattern, but there's a little button of a spool of thread. This is a basic 9-patch. It's very small. It only measures out 14 by 14, so I think that could be kicked out relatively quickly. So that's on the agenda to do as well. And then the last thing that I really, really, really want to do or learn, and I've got, again, all the supplies, I just haven't done it, is I want to learn punch needle. This is a pattern, I really love her patterns, Briar Cottage Studio. I've got probably 3 or 4 of her patterns. This is Moonlight Watch. Again, Halloween. And it's a moon with a bunch of pumpkins that it's holding on to, and I just think that's so cute. And I found her on Etsy. So those are what I'm working on, future plans, etc. I thank you for letting me have this time on Flosstube. And one of the things I thought I would do, because I have a ridiculous amount of patterns, and I will tell you quickly why. Years ago, when I first was in college and I was working in the town up north of me in Millington, there's a old Victorian house, and what it is it's a bunch of gift shops. They're all partners, and every room you walk in is a gift shop. You can, sometimes they have themes, sometimes they don't. The upstairs at that time was a huge cross-stitch shop. You just wander through. There's nobody standing in each room. You just wander through it. And unfortunately, the woman that owned it had passed away. So her partners were getting rid of her stock. And needless to say, at that point, I was a college student living at home, working my co-op up in Millington. And so I had disposable income. And I bought a ridiculous amount of cross-stitch patterns. More than I will ever do in my life. So one of the things I thought I would do today, and I'm not going to say that they're in the best condition. They are what they are. But I thought I would have a drawing, and if you're interested in getting one of these patterns, subscribe to my channel, and if you would put a comment of how you learned to cross stitch. Who taught you how to cross stitch? And we'll do a random drawing for each of these. Open to the continental U.S. only. Sorry, no international, Alaska or Hawaii. Can't afford the postage. But what I thought I would give away, and again, this is, in fact, this one has a fold on it. Sunflowers, sunflowers, sunflowers. This is cross stitch from American School of Needlework by Linda Gilliam. So it's a bunch of cross stitch, sunflowers. They even have on the back. They even have some an alphabet of cross stitch for the sunflowers, all sunflower cross stitch. The second one, and again these are probably out of print. I mean, they're old. And I've actually done this one right here. But this is old samplers. And it's just alphabet samplers. And the third one I think I'm going to give away is this Cricket collection designed by Karen Hislop. It's an alphabet. And it's very, very cute. And again, the only reason I'm doing the drawing is because I will never do these in my life. I probably have a notebook that is that thick of cross-stitch patterns. And I have no business buying new ones, and I still buy new ones. So, if you're interested, again, put a comment, subscribe, and the next Flosstube, I will announce the winners, and we will send these out. Again, thank you for having me on Flosstube. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you again later. Bye now.